writing drum grooves, one of the most important elements is where you choose to place snare drum hits. Snare placement can drastically change the way a groove or riff feels. Today I want to take a look at the two main approaches that I use when choosing where to place my snare drum hits. To demonstrate these two approaches, I'm going to take a look at the main melodic section from the latest Prog School single, Anamorphosis. In this section, there's a 13/8 rhythm, grouped as 2-2-3-3-3. In both of these examples, the hi-hat is playing half notes, giving it a steady pulse over this 13/8. This technique is called overriding, which I covered in last month's masterclass lesson. The first approach I take with snare drums is to have them follow the underlying rhythm. In this case, the snare is following this 13/8 rhythm. In each measure, the snare is hitting with the second group of 3. You can choose to have the snare hit with any of the main accents of a rhythm, and I would experiment with different ones to see how they feel. This approach highlights the rhythmic patterns of a riff or a groove, and in this case I'm using it to really drive home these 13/8 rhythms. Here's another example of this from the Prog School tune, The Fourth Wall. In the chorus, the snare is hitting on the last eighth note of these groupings of 4 and 3. Once again, this is done to highlight these patterns. The other main approach I take with snare drums is to have them do a traditional backbeat, hitting on 2 and 4. Or just on 3 for a halftime feel. This is obviously very straightforward, but it can have a really cool sound when done over more complex rhythms. Let's take a look at this 13/8 groove again. The snare is now doing a halftime backbeat, and only the kick drum is following this 13/8 rhythm, giving a really clear polymetric feel between 13/8 and 4/4. Having this backbeat adds a lot of extra syncopation, and I think it actually makes the riff a little bit easier to feel. Now, it's not one or the other when it comes to these approaches to snare placement. I often will have a backbeat and also have the snare hit with other parts of a riff or rhythm. This part during the breakdown of the Prog School song On Balance Tranquility is a great example of this. I have a backbeat going here, but I'm also catching one bent note in the guitar riff with a snare hit. This helps to make that one note really pop out. So there are some simple tips for where to place the snare in your drum parts. Focusing on this has helped to dramatically improve my drum writing. I'd recommend you give these ideas a go for yourself and let me know if they helped you. If you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe, hit the bell notification, like, comment, share. Till next time, stay proggy.